All right, so you really threw us for a loop this time with
Mm.
this whole foul play Ricky thing,
Yeah.
a whole season of a fictional podcast.
Right.
Honestly, I wasn't sure what to expect at first,
Mm.
especially with that, let's just say, that unique writing style.
It's definitely, it's something else.
But I gotta hand it to them.
Yeah.
I was hooked after the first 5 minutes.
It's fascinating, isn't it? The way it uses this over-the-top, almost cartoonish style. It's like they're celebrating and completely turning classic noir on its head at the same time.
Yeah, it's like those old detective stories, but
Yeah.
viewed through a funhouse mirror.
Exactly.
And speaking of reflections, let's talk about Ricky Barone, our protagonist.
Yeah.
He's introduced as this grizzled, seen-it-all ex-detective
Right.
with this thick dialect. And he's always, what's the word?
Oh, you mean the malapropisms?
Yeah, the malapropism.
Like playing by my own rules.
That's the one.
Classic Ricky.
Always ready to punch someone's lights out.
And the violence?
Yeah.
It's always played for laughs. You notice that?
No, absolutely.
Like in the very first episode, The Case of Roseanne. You're thrown right into it. Femme fatales, rundown motels, double crosses. But it's all seen through Ricky's eyes. And let's just say, his grip on reality is tenuous at best.
It's like he's a kid playing detective in his own little world.
Exactly.
And the humor comes from that disconnect, you know?
Totally.
Like when he's in Roseanne's hotel room, convinced he's about to find some big clue,
Oh, I remember that.
ranting and raving about that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And it turns out to be
His Amazon order.
his Amazon order.
Comedic gold.
You're comedic gold.
It's brilliant, really. The way they set you up for this classic noir reveal, all dark and mysterious, and then bam! It's something totally mundane. That's what makes you laugh.
The unexpectedness of it all.
Exactly.
And that really sets the tone for the whole season.
It does, doesn't it?
Just a constant back and forth between the absurd and the genuinely suspenseful. Like in episode 2, you're still chuckling about the Amazon thing.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly, Ricky's putting a bullet through his neighbor's door because he thinks it's Johnny.
Which, of course, it wasn't.
Turns out to be a completely innocent guy.
And Ricky's reaction.
My bad.
My bad.
Just like that.
It's shocking. It's hilarious. It's foul play, Ricky. What can you say?
You have to admire the commitment to the bit, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
And it just keeps escalating from there.
Oh, tell me about it.
Like you think it can't possibly get any weirder. And
How
then
does?
Ricky runs into his old pal, Ralph.
Oh, right.
Who casually mentions that Johnny was just trying to return a VHS tape.
The Spice World VHS.
The Spice World VHS.
Don't tell me they ever actually find it.
I'm not saying a word.
You know how much I love that movie.
But that little detail, as random as it seems,
It's perfect.
it says so much about the show's sense of humor.
It does, doesn't it?
This weird mix of absurdity and like hyper specificity.
Out of all the things Johnny could be after, a Spice World VHS.
You can't make this stuff up,
It's brilliant.
but that's what makes it work.
It is.
You're laughing at how ridiculous it is, but you're also kind of impressed by the writers, you know?
I know exactly what you mean.
Like they put so much thought into this crazy world they've created.
Absolutely.
And then there's episode 3,
Ah, yes.
where Ricky's wrestling with, well,
His conscience.
maybe wrestling is a strong word.
Let's just say he's aware that maybe, possibly, shooting your neighbor over a VHS tape isn't exactly...
The most stand-up citizen move.
Right, that's the one.
And then there are those cryptic messages he keeps getting.
Delivered by cheese, no less.
Cheese projectiles.
Because nothing says, I'm watching you, like a wheel of cheddar to the face.
You know, I never thought of it that way.
It's a bold choice.
It is.
But it works, doesn't it?
It does in a weird way.
It's foul play, Ricky, after all.
True that, but it's in those moments, amidst the flying dairy products,
Yeah.
that you realize there's something darker going on.
Oh, absolutely.
Someone is messing with Ricky.
Someone who knows about his past.
Someone who knows a little too much.
About his childhood at his great aunt's.
His unfortunate double dribbling incident in elementary school basketball.
Things are getting interesting.
And just when you're really starting to wonder what's going on.
The cops show up,
Of course.
ready to arrest Ricky for Johnny's murder.
Leaving our hapless hero with only one option.
To run.
So, last we left our man Ricky, he was, shall we say, in a bit of a bind.
Oh, a bit of a bind.
Framed for murder, on the run from the law.
Not exactly a walk in the park.
And with his track record, well,
Let's just say he's not exactly known for making the most rational decisions.
that's putting it mildly.
But that's what makes episode 4 so brilliant. His escape introduces us to the one and only Ken Gifford.
Ken
A
Gifford.
taxi driver with
Away with words.
that's one way to put it. I swear, the man could talk a dog off a leash.
I felt like I needed a flow chart to follow his train of thought.
1 minute, he's going on about Elvis. The next, it's Bigfoot and the healing power of mayonnaise.
Don't forget his theories on the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh, right, the Bermuda Triangle. How could I forget?
And somehow it all ties back to his wife's prize-winning casserole.
Of course, how could it not?
But here's the thing.
What's that?
Amidst all the rambling, all those non sequiturs,
Yeah.
Ken actually plays a crucial role in the story.
He does, doesn't he?
It's like the writers took this gruff action movie wannabe in Ricky
Right.
and paired him with the most chatty, unpredictable cab driver imaginable.
It's like mixing oil and water. You wouldn't think it would work.
And yet, somehow,
It does.
it creates this hilarious, bizarre chemistry.
And it all comes to a head in episode 5. Oh, when Ricky finally snaps.
The man can only take so much Elvis talk, you know?
Turn on the radio, he says, or so help me.
And that, my friend, is where things get really interesting.
Because, of course, it's not foul play, Ricky. Unless someone's life is in danger.
A car rigged to explode.
A Gillette bomb filled with shaving cream.
You can't make this stuff up.
I know, right? It's like they pulled it straight from a cartoon.
But even then, even with all the over-the-top action,
Mm-hmm.
the show still manages to sprinkle in those little details.
The ones that make you think there's more going on beneath the surface.
Like the telegram Ricky gets in episode 6.
Meet your vengeance, it said. Room 212.
Spooky stuff.
And then there's that Raven tattoo.
The one Roseanne had.
First on Roseanne, then we see it on the motel clerk. Almost like a calling card.
A sign that Ricky's caught in something bigger than himself.
Precisely.
Something that's about to get a whole lot weirder.
Oh, you have no idea.
Because in episode 7, we finally meet the cult of the Ravens.
Talk about making an entrance.
I mean, picture this.
Good.
30 figures in red hooded robes,
Yeah.
chanting in this, what was it? An abandoned burger
The
joint.
burger joint. Yeah.
It's like something out of a horror movie.
Oh, for sure. But with the side of existential dread.
And ravens. Don't forget the ravens.
Oh, right, the ravens. Can't have a cult without ravens.
It's like they went through a drive-through of doom.
Speaking of doom,
Oh, here we go.
their leader, right? This guy can make a dramatic entrance in a library.
Talk about chewing the scenery.
Every other word is about stealing life force.
Immortality, the whole 9 yards.
Like he's reading from the villain handbook.
But that's what makes it so funny.
It is, isn't it?
It's so over the top.
completely.
You can't help but laugh.
It's like they're in on the joke.
Totally. And even Ricky, right?
Oh, Ricky.
Face to face with these life-draining cultists.
You'd think he'd be a little freaked out.
But no, he just shrugs and says, pretty standard bad guy cult stuff.
The man does not rattle easily.
That's our Ricky.
That is.
But then episode 11 hits.
Oh, boy.
Talk about a roller coaster.
Well,
Johnny's alive.
apparently so.
And there's a baby involved.
Floating in a giant beach ball, no less.
Where did they even come up with this stuff?
I have a feeling their writer's room is a very interesting place.
I bet.
But, you know, it's classic foul play Ricky, isn't it?
It really is.
You take these familiar tropes, like the identical twin thing,
Right.
the surprise return from the dead,
Right.
and they give it that foul play Ricky twist
It's like, of course Johnny faked his own death.
with his long-lost twin, Lenny.
Lenny. How could I forget Lenny?
And, of course, it somehow ties back to Ricky's life force,
It's all connected.
like a big, weird tapestry.
But just when you think you've got it all figured out,
They hit you with another one.
Roseanne,
Our favorite femme fatale.
turns out she's a high-ranking raven,
Pulling the strings all along.
using Ricky to get to his father.
Who, surprise, surprise, is also alive.
Right?
And in hiding from the cult.
It's like a bad detective novel on Fast Forward.
With a laugh track.
Don't forget the laugh track.
But we finally get some answers, don't we?
Well,
Like the Howard the Duck Shrine.
Oh, yeah. What was that all about?
Turns out it all started with the Order of the Ducks.
The Order of the Ducks?
The cult's origin story, apparently.
You can't make this stuff up.
Is foul play Ricky, my friend.
Right, you are.
And all those buckets of blood.
Don't even get me started.
Cranberry juice, my friend.
Cranberry juice.
Johnny's secret recipe, apparently.
Of course it is.
Leave it to foul play Ricky to turn a bloodbath into a juice cleanse gone wrong.
Every time.
But even with all the answers, Ricky's still in deep.
No kidding.
Trapped, framed for murder, surrounded by a cult.
So what does he do?
Well, he pulls out his trusty fanny pack.
The one with the pistol
That's the one.
and a whole lot of...
Let's just say resourcefulness is his superpower.
Right, resourceful.
And a little bit of luck, because a stray bullet, later,
Yes, stray bullet.
they're never planned, are they?
Never.
And suddenly we're in a time-traveling vortex.
Of course we are.
Because why not?
Why not, indeed?
And bam, Ricky, Roseanne, Johnny, back to 1832.
Talk about a cliffhanger.
I know, right?
What a wild ride.
So what have we learned?
Well, I've learned that I need to stock up on cranberry juice.
Always a good idea.
And maybe invest in a good fanny pack.
You never know when you'll need to escape a cult.
True that. But seriously, Foul Play Ricky is something special.
It really is.
It's a reminder that even when things are dark, even when they're absurd...
There's always room for a little laughter.
Exactly. And that sometimes the most unexpected stories
Can be the most entertaining.
Foul Play Ricky, everyone. Check it out.
You won't regret it.